he considers to be a Sicarius. The reason I'm interested in that is that the Sicari, in our history that we're going to get to in Palestine, are considered by Josephus the knife people, the assassins. And I'm going to try to argue by the end of this course that maybe they may not just, that's pejorative. I'm sure that they didn't consider themselves to be assassins, terrorists, and so on. They considered themselves to be, they didn't call themselves this. But they may have been called that too after some sort of circumcision aspect to their activities, which is what I'm going to try to argue, because I think, in fact, that law of Sicarius bans circumcision among Jews after the two uprisings, 166 to 70 and 132 to 136. So I put it up there because of Publius Cornelius Scipio, but I think it'll be interesting for the end of our course. In any event, to go back to this history then, we're going to find in the Maccabean period, in fact, people who stopped circumcising themselves. Now, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't circumcise yourself. I don't have any course in this squabble. I used to teach an Islam course here, and we used to do poetry, and one of the poems said, when this fellow didn't want to part in the conflict, he said, I have no he camel or she camel in it. I have no he camel or she camel in this particular argument. The same for the order of the Gospels, or whether John is later or earlier. I have no he camel or she camel in it. Let those who want to argue about those things argue about those things. That's interesting to keep people active. And a lot of other things people argue about. Anyway, so I don't have a he camel or she camel on whether Paul's right or he isn't right. I don't really care. I'm more of a Paulinist than not, since I behave like Paul. I mean, I don't follow the law. I have to admit that. I eat lobster and shrimp and meat with blood in it and all that kind of stuff. I don't eat a lot of pork, but I'm sure if someone put it on my plate, I probably would eat it. You know, I eat ham and stuff. I like bacon and things. So, you know, I'm a Paulinist. I just don't like his attitude. You know, I don't like him as a person. So what I mean, I have no he camel or she camel in it. I have nothing in this squabble. I just call it the way it strikes me. But this is somebody who's very slippery and is quite cynical and makes arguments for his own benefit, which are a little bit, I don't know the right word, but can't think of offhand. Anyway. Superficial, perhaps. Okay, so now the empire is divided, and we care about the Seleucids because of the one general, Seleucus. Here's the empire. I'm not doing very well here. Okay, so this is the Mediterranean, Italy, Greece, and so on, Asia Minor, land of splendor, Syria, Persia, Iraq today also, and so on. TJ, not TJ Maxx, Transjordan. No, T1, okay. Transjordan, Egypt. So, okay, these are two parts of Alexander, but this is one part here. We'll call the Seleucids. After the general Seleucus, and this is the other part here, the Ptolemies. So for a while, first 100 years after Alexander, the Ptolemies are stronger. But as the 200s wear on, the Seleucids get more of the upper hand. And they do come through Palestine to invade Egypt. And that's where the Maccabee books pick up. Because on their way back from the Egyptian campaign, and the king, it's not an emperor, is Antiochus Epiphanes. Now, some people like to call him Antiochus, and I call him Antiochus only because of the word Antioch. In Syria, I pronounce Antioch, Antioch, so to me, Antiochus rolls off my tongue better than Antiochus. I can't say Antiochus Epiphanes, it just doesn't work, but probably the proper pronunciation is Antiochus, although I wasn't alive at that time, I can't vouch for that. Antiochus will do, it's easier for me, I can live with it, you can do whatever you prefer. Now we're in a testing area that we should know this data, so this is stuff you should be responsible for. I'm not going to test you verbally, so you don't have to pronounce any of this stuff. So the Ptolemies are after the general Ptolemy, who was a boyhood friend of Alexander. And we did last time that Cleopatra was the last queen of the Ptolemies, and she and Caesar got it on together. And then Antony wanted to get in the same bed there. And look at the series Rome for the first year if you want to keep abreast of all those bedroom scenes, blue movies, upstairs, downstairs, Roman style, Egyptian style. Pretty good, pretty good. By the same writers as wrote Patton and stuff. But the second season is a real plus. Don't. Second season, obviously they fell out. Someone else wrote it. Okay, you can get that on HBO if you want to look at it. It covers this period a bit. So apparently there are 10 kings down to this Antiochus Epiphanes who has the campaign into Egypt. So he would be the 11th king. So let's look at, by the way, you just don't know a lot of information about the 300s. See, when there's no biblical books, no important information, 200s to preserve, we just don't have the information we have. Josephus is one of our best sources. I mean, the Romans don't give us a lot of information about the 200s either. And we just don't have the material about the 200s. There's some in the Antiquities of Josephus, but I don't think that's very detailed. So after it describes Alexander and Maccabees won, he took many campaigns, gained possessions, fortresses, local kings. This sounds like the Habakkuk commentary right here. So you say, oh, it's Alexander in the Habakkuk commentary. Well, it could be, but we don't think it is. But that's the only one other person it could resemble. But he wasn't as cruel as the Romans. I mean, he actually wanted to have a cosmopolitan